Well, once again, a very interesting note this time around, the Greed and Fear note, written by Chris Wood of Jefferies, tackles many topics in depth. In fact, what he's talking about, he speaks about the entire inflation scare. He speaks about the sell-off that was seen in the commodity markets last week. He also talks about the Fed commentary and how exactly he believes that the entire tapering scare will play out. He also continues to talk about his entire cyclical trade theory. He speaks quite favorably about India and the India vaccination progress. He's also made a couple of changes as far as the India portfolio is concerned for the greed and fear. And overall, talking about what exactly his views are, he remains quite positive as far as the unlock or the reopen trade is concerned. Going into depth, let's see what exactly Chris Wood has said in his latest Greed and Fear report. He's saying, needless to say, Greed and Fear continues to stick with the cyclical trade, and this is despite the over-the-top market reaction last week as far as the sell-off in the likes of commodity stocks are concerned. He's saying the copper mining index was actually down 12%, and he believes that this particular reaction was quite over the top. In fact, he remains quite surprised at the kind of sell-off that the market saw due to the commentary of the Fed FOMC. He's saying that the reality remains that the timing of any tapering, or indeed any tapering scare, is more likely going to be driven by market-driven inflation expectations. He's saying that the pressure on the front as far as market-driven inflation is concerned has eased out quite significantly. In fact, the US 5-year forward inflation rate has actually declined from a recent high of 2.38% to 2.09% just recently. What he is also saying is that when it comes to the Indian markets and it comes to the Indian cyclical trade, he's saying that the Indian economy continues to rebound quite smartly. In fact, what he is saying is that when you're talking about the latest data from Jefferies India Office Recovery Tracker, it shows a further acceleration in the cyclical rebound. In fact, what he is saying is that the Jefferies India Recovery Tracker increased by 3 percentage points last week to an 8-week high of 91% and is now up almost 12 percentage points from recent lows. He is saying it's quite fortunate that Greed and Fear has remained overweight India throughout the second wave and will continue to be so. What he is also saying is that he's made a couple of changes as far as the India portfolio is concerned. He's saying that the investment in DLF Limited will now be replaced by an investment in Godrej Properties, and it is going to be interesting to see how the stocks react, how the companies perform going forward on the back of this particular change made by Chris Wood of Jefferies.